Like? Now, the small children. What do we do about the small children this evening? You two boys going to be peaceful or restless? I know the answer, you don't have to tell me. You're going to sit still for a whole hour? Is that possible for you? You tired? You're going to fall asleep? He's already fallen asleep. Okay, let's see what happens. But you know what to do if you get restless, right? Some of the devotees that are here this evening were not with us yesterday, and today is part 2 from yesterday. So yesterday, we got a little preview of a series of verses from Canto 5, Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 5, a significant part of Canto 5 is the structure of the universe, the Vedic picture of the structure of the universe. And in Jambudvip, there's different varshas, different sectors of Jambudvip, one of which is Kim Purusha Varsha, and Kim Purusha Varsha is where Hanuman resides. Because after Lord Ramachandra's pastimes were concluded, he gave an instruction to Hanuman, and the instruction to Hanuman was he's going to take his eternal associates with him back to the spiritual world of Ayodhya, but he wanted Hanuman to remain and sing his glories for the duration of the creation. Hanuman had received, we heard yesterday, many benedictions from the Devas after Indra had gotten the wrong idea about who Hanuman was and so forth, and sent a thunderbolt as he was soaring through the sky, heading for the sun to capture a big fruit. Anyway, when he came for crash landing, and Vayu was very upset, so much so that the life air of the whole universe was choked, and everyone was choked, and they asked Vayu, please, we're going to destroy the universe. So Brahma descended, Brahma placed his hand on Hanuman's chest, small boy, and he sat up. Vayu was happy, people could breathe again. And Brahma requested the demigods to give different benedictions. So one of those benedictions, there were many, that he would be a Chiran Jiva, who would live for a long, long time, beyond the spans of yuga cycles and everything, a very long duration of life. And many other wonderful benedictions. So he resides at Kim Purusha, and with others, he is constantly engaged in singing the glories of Ram. That was the first few of these verses. This is from a chapter in Canto 5. So we were going through his prayers. We finished the first 4, and now we're going to continue with 5 through 8. So this is Hanuman singing glories of Ram. It was ordained that Ravana, chief of the Rakshasas, could not be killed by anyone but a man, And for this reason, Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in the form of a human being. Lord Ramachandra's mission, however, was not only to kill Ravana, but also to teach mortal beings that material happiness centered around sex life or centered around one's wife is the cause of many miseries. He is thus self-sufficient Supreme Personality of Godhead, and nothing is lamentable for him, therefore. Why else could he be subjected to tribulations by the kidnapping of Mother Sita? When devotees such as Hanuman, or devotees of Lord Chaitanya such as Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy and others, or devotees of Krishna like Uddhava, they have not only knowledge capacity but very intimate relationship with the Lord and Master, and so they know things that the rest of us don't know about the Supreme Lord. And so they, of course, from their perspective, they share those things in prayers to the Lord. We discussed this a bit yesterday. So it tells us something about Ram, and it tells us something about our relationship, Hanuman's relationship with Ram, how he understands the Lord. And it's perfectly okay. It's more than perfectly okay. It's part of the beauty of the personality of Godhead, that there's all this diversity of how different people see him. Prabhupada's example, very nice example, speaking to a professor in Ireland, pointing to a flower vase on his desk. Just like this vase, there's so many flowers, different colors, different fragrances, different species, but there's one thing in common, they're all flowers. And so if it was one kind, one color, one fragrance, it wouldn't be as beautiful. But diversity makes it beautiful. He was explaining, using the vase on his table to explain the principle of unity in diversity, which is an important teaching for us in how we can look around at different devotees, and there's diversity, lots of diversity, maybe overwhelming kind of diversity. What to speak of when you get multicultural, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. But one thing is at the center, and that is Krishna Bhakti. So, Hanuman's here appreciating a few things. One in particular, he's already stated that he's not of the material world. His name, his form, his activities are not of the material world, but at the same time, he comes as a human being to teach us lessons of life. So that the transcendental and the human feature of Lord Ramachandra. So Ravana, it was ordained that Ravana, chief of the Rakshasas, could not be killed by anyone but a man. Well, it wasn't exactly like that, but something close to that. There's in the history the story of Ravana's life, he was the son of a very, very exalted Brahmana, very powerful, very elevated Brahmana. And details, but his second wife was a Rakshasi. And because he was a liberal Brahmin, when the proposal was made for her marriage, Kaikeshi, something like that, became his wife, and Ravana became her son. there was another wife and another son. The other son was Kuvera. And Kuvera had opulences. Kuvera had some special position in the relation of the creation, and he was given this Pushpaka Vimana. So one time when he was going to visit his father in his Pushpaka Vimana, Kaikashi saw this Pushpaka and turned to her son and said, "Look at that. Your brother has all this opulence." And at that time, Ravana wasn't, Dasagriva was his name. He got the name Ravana later. Ravana, he makes people cry. So he took a vow, very severe vow, and severe austerities, very, very, very difficult austerities. Lord Brahma came, and he didn't do exactly what Hiranyakashipu did, but similar. Rather than saying, "I want immortality," no, I can't give you that. He just asked for his checklist of who he can't be killed by. And minus on the checklist was humans. So Brahma granted him that benediction. But who he could be killed by included the demigods. So those of you that are familiar with the story of Ramachandra's appearance, simultaneous with the yajna that Rishishringa was performing, and as the representative was to come out of the fire and offer the payasam to Dasarath and his queens, the demigods were having a demigod conference. And they were complaining to Brahma, "Look what you did. You gave benedictions to Ravana that he can't be killed by so many of us in so many different ways. And we can't stop him because he has this benediction from you. So look at the mess you made. You got to clean up the mess you made." So Brahma said, "No problem." He was so proud that when he was asking for his benedictions, if he can't be killed this way, that way, the other way, he just left off human beings. So let's go to Lord Vishnu and ask him to appear as a human being, and he'll take care of Ravana. No problema. And so Lord Vishnu said, "Very soon I'll be appearing as the son of Dasarath, and I will destroy Ravana." So Hanuman knew of these things. So he appeared as the form of a human being. Lord Ramachandra's mission, however, was not only to kill Ravana, but also to teach mortal beings that material happiness centered around sex life or centered around one's wife is the cause of many miseries. Now, coincidentally, this was discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, the passages that we're reading in the morning on the activities of Lord Ramachandra. So it's in two places. He wanted to teach. So as he's teaching the character of an ideal king, and teaching so many things on the principles of codes of conduct and standing by satyam, upholding the word, his word, the word of his father, whatever the consequences might be. Twice in the Bhagavatam, in the words of Shukadeva Goswami, and then here in the words of Hanuman, he wanted to teach something. And too much material attachment in the form of male-female association, too much attachment brings untold miseries. That's what's being said here. Many miseries. And then he concludes, how else can we explain this pastime of Ram being put into difficulty because Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, the one who Ram came to kill. In his pastime, Ravana took away his wife, Sita. But he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's self-sufficient. Self-sufficient is an important word. Swarat is a word there in the Sanskrit. Swarat. It only applies to one person, the Supreme Person. Everyone else is dependent, and he's fully independent. He's not needing anything outside of himself, including his internal potency, Sita. That's his internal potency. It's his potency. So he's self-sufficient. So how else could we explain tribulation? It's teaching a lesson. Now, there's other things that are going on aside from teaching a lesson. And we discussed that also. The Bhagavatam discusses it. The lesson of rasa, the transcendental rasa of vipralamba is the Sanskrit word, increasing, intensifying the mood of love through separation. Now, love is a nice topic for poets and literatures and songwriters and things, but Scripture teaches the science, or the science of rasa, the science of loving exchange, and there are things that stimulate love, and there are things that intensify love, and feelings of separation intensify love. I mean, there's many examples, one right off the top. Our acharyas describe that the gopis, even when they're with Krishna, that sambhog, the meeting with Krishna, they're anticipating soon we'll have separation from Krishna. So it intensifies the mood of meeting because they're anticipating soon going to be taken away. And then it's taken away, and then it just skyrockets, it spikes, it goes very strong. But in that feeling of separation, the intensification of being connected with Krishna becomes strong, which may relax a bit when there's meeting, but then separation. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead enjoys happiness. He enjoys the happiness of love. Certainly he enjoys happiness of love from any one of us that may offer to him the simplest thing. Leaf, flower, fruit, or water. Pushpatram, pushpam, palam, toyam. What to speak of his unalloyed devotees who are offering their services out of love. Like, there's this very nice pastime. There's so many nice pastimes that illustrate this. The love of the Supreme Lord for his devotee. There's a little passage in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I promised last night I'd go into details a little bit more, so I'm going to do that. One of the festivals, in Skanda Purana, Lord Jagannath told in person King Indradumna how he wanted to be worshipped. So one of the festivals of the worship of Lord Jagannath is Odana Shasti. It comes, of course, winter season in Puri isn't anything like Chicago, but there's definitely a temperature change. And when there is a temperature change, there's a festival, Odana Shasti. And the deity of Jagannath is given many very specific items. And one of those many very specific items is new cloth. And new cloth, traditionally, in that part of India, it's new cloth is to keep it nice. There's starch, and so on Odana Shasti, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and Srup Damodar, they participated in the festival, and ornaments and flowers and crowns and jewelry and lots of cloth with lots of starch in the cloth. And big festival, an all-day festival. So on the way back to their residence, Pundarik Vidyanidhi was disturbed, saying, this isn't right. According to scripture, starch is not pure, and therefore the cloth should be very carefully washed again and again and again before giving to Lord Jagannath, because it's not pure, it's just not right. And Srup Damodar said, that's what Jagannath wants. So and it's been done for generations and generations and generations, since the beginning of Indradyumna's time when Jagannath was worshipped and installed. That night, Pundarik Vidyanidhi had a dream. And in the dream, in a very angry mood, normally Jagannath's eyes are very big and big smile, he looked very angry. And Baladev and Subhadra, and they came and confronted him. And instead of their arms being withdrawn, their arms extended and started slapping him and slapping him and slapping him and slapping him. And in the dream, he said, Jagannath, what offense have I done? I'm sure I've done some terrible offense to the devotees or to you, but I don't know what that offense is. Please tell me. He said, I like this Odana Shasti festival. The devotees give these items with love and devotion, and I'm happy to accept. Never again criticize the devotees for doing services that I like for them and they offer with love. I'll never do it again, I'll never do it again. Then in the morning, when he went to see Srup Damodar, Srup Damodar saw his cheeks were swollen and reddish. What happened to you? And Pundarik Vidyanidhi told him what happened in the dream, and then it wasn't just a dream. Jagannath slapped him heavy, and Balaram too. And Srup Damodar said, you're such an intimate associate of Lord Jagannath. He's shown you affection that he would never show to the rest of us. You're a very dear devotee of Lord Jagannath. So, all of that is a description that even we offer something that's insignificant and Krishna feels obliged. One lecture, I remember vividly hearing this. Prabhupada, this is in our Henry Street Temple. Prabhupada said, Krishna will always remember even the smallest of service that you do. Then his voice started going up and said, if you come to the temple, and even if you turn one screw, Krishna will never forget. Krishna will always feel obliged for any service that you do. He's not ungrateful. So what to speak of great devotees like Hanuman, the dog, just give me the word of some service and there he goes, Hanuman, to do some service for Ram. Jai Ram, Shri Ram. And Sita is his internal potency. It's not possible any more than it's possible for the sunshine to be separated from the sun, for Sita to be separated from Ram. Not possible. And as it is said here, he's Swarat. He's self-sufficient. So what's this, lamentable situation that Sita's been kidnapped? And he goes through grief and big ordeals, searching and can't find, and has thousands and thousands of vanras and can't find. obstacles to relieve that pain of his separation, what to speak of Sita, what she had to undergo in the hands of Ravana. So, why? So Hanuman's giving us the why. It's Lord Ramachandra wanting to do two things, this particular prayer. Destroy Ravana. There's a nice ISKCON painting of Ravana being destroyed. Some of the other ones are... The ISKCON art is really good. I mean, some of the other paintings, it gives the idea, but that's really good. Therefore, why else could he be subjected to tribulations? By the kidnapping of Mother Sita. So, Ram, there's another painting, Ram destroying Ravana. You know, big battle, and boys especially like battle scenes, I've learned. Their favorite Mahabharata battle, and Ram's battle with Ravan and all the warriors. Big scene. So, next. Since Lord Ramachandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, he is not attached to anything in this material world. He is the most beloved super soul of all self-realized souls, and he is their very intimate friend. He is full of all opulence. Therefore, he could not possibly have suffered because of separation from his wife, nor could he have given up his wife and Lakshmana, his younger brother. To give up either would have been absolutely impossible. Now, this is Hanuman. So it's authoritative. No, someone else might see somewhat slightly different because they have a different relationship with Ram, but this is Hanuman. It's not possible. So there he goes into exile. And how did the exile happen? The personality of mantra, Prabhupada says, every person, every living entity is basically good. But through bad association, even a good person can become bad. Therefore, we must very carefully guard against bad association. And there's a few children around, so parents are always concerned who their children are associating with, because good children can become bad through bad association. So, it's a principle. And Kaikeyi, part of the mystery of all of this is Kaikeyi had so much affection for both Sita and Ram. It's said that when the 4 sons came back with their 4 wives, Kaikeyi arranged for a special palace for Sita, not for Bharat's wife, but for Sita, because she had so much affection for Sita, and Sita had so much affection for her. And she said, because it comes out later, many times, Kaikeyi said, it's not normal, but I have more affection for you than for my own son. And you have more affection for me than my son has for me. She had such love for Ram. It was part of the mystery. But the mystery unravels, or mystery became possible because of mantra. And because of the just sound vibration of planting seeds of intrigue and doubt and name-calling and bad-mouthing and so forth, stirring the weakness of Kaikeyi to actually become convinced in mantra's words. And so she gave her the instruction, go to the sulking room and throw yourself on the ground and wear a simple cloth and throw your ornaments here and there. When Dasara comes, don't listen to him. He'll try to persuade you otherwise, but keep your 2 boons. And she then demanded her 2 boons. And Dasratha couldn't say, so she said. And of course there's different renderings of Ramayana, but the one I like, when Ram hears, go to the forest for 14 years, and you shall not become the king, but Bharat shall become the king. Ram's reply was, is that all, mother? I'll leave at once, today, this very day. No, what? Because to uphold the word of his father is everything for Ram. And so he did so exactly according to the indication that his father gave. It's a very beautiful painting. It reminds me of the painting of Krishna being taken from Vrindavan by Pura. Different personalities, but similar bhava. There's Dasratha and the queens. And the different relationships with the brahmanas, the people of Ayodhya, Sita by his side, Lakshman with them, Sumantra guiding the horses. And so they entered the Dandak forest. And Sita was very happy because as she said to Ram, you know how much I love being in the palatial gardens of Ayodhya. And I've often said, wouldn't it be nice just to be in the forest together? So here we are, and see the different flowers, and she was very curious about different birds and the whole scenery of forest life. She was very happy. The sounds of the cranes and the cuckoos and the buzzing of the bees, and she was delighted. And Ram was also very much delighted without the worries of management of state affairs, being with his beloved wife and great associate Lakshmana, carrying out his every need. Sita just fascinated by forest life. Then of course the scene where the golden deer towards the end of their exile, and Sita's desiring to take the deer back to their garden in Ayodhya. And of course Lakshmana is not trusting. Well, who's ever seen a deer like this? Changing colors and like a rainbow and golden, and this isn't a deer, this is a rakshasa, this is a trick. I don't trust it. And Ram's saying, well, even if that's the case, then I can kill the deer. I have my powerful bow and arrows and no difficulty. So as fate would have it, Sita then taunted Lakshman when Richa called out, Sita, or Ram, Lakshman, help! So, calling him bad names, Lakshmana went. Ravana came and kidnapped Sita. Jatayu tried to protect Sita, because that was his service, to protect Sita and Ram, his devoted service. See how big he is, just with his claws he's picking up one of the animals that's leading the chariot, the big bird. But Ravana cut off his wings and he fell to the ground. Here's Sita dropping some of her ornaments in a cloth that later were found by the Vanaras. Ram, we heard this just this morning, Ram like the son performing the funeral for Jatayu, but Jatayu then confirming that Sita was taken by Ravana and they went that away. Beautiful painting. Meanwhile, in Lanka, Ravana tormenting Sita because among other benedictions he has a few curses, and one of them was by Vedavati, long narration, which I'm not going to go into the details of, but he attempted to violate her, and just by his touching her hair with her hand, she cut off her hair, and by intense meditation entered, burned her body in fire and said, in my next life, I will cause you your destruction. And also the wife of the sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvera and Manigriva. The wife of Nalakuvera, Ravana did violate as he was going to see his brother and defeat his brother in an angry mood. So Nalakuvera came and protected his wife, or defended the honor of his wife, and Ravana slayed him. But he said before he died that if you ever even touch another woman, immediately you'll die. So Ravana was a little concerned that sometimes, heard that sometimes these curses of demigods bears fruit, so for that reason he didn't violate Sita, but was tormenting her in so many ways to become his favorite queen out of his so many queens. Sita spoke in such a strong, unintimidated fashion about what a fool Ravana was, and he's bringing his own destruction and the destruction of the whole Rakshasa race and so on, and insulting him so strongly. He was ready to kill her. But Mandodari, his chaste wife, checked him from destroying Sita. So the caption at the front, Ravana fails to win. Of course, not only he was a powerful warrior, he was a Brahmana's son. He was good with words and knew how to speak and say things. But who would want to marry somebody with 10 heads anyways? So he went back to the palace and told the Rakshasis, break her will, treat her in such a way that she'll yield to me. And this is, of course, hinting at Hanuman comes and informs. After some days, one of the Rakshasis named Trijata informed Sita that she had a dream. Sita was becoming despondent. And Trijata was, amongst the Rakshasis, she was a little different than the rest of them. She had some affection and appreciation for Sita, her wonderful qualities and her staunch devotion for Ram. So she told Sita of a dream that she had, that Ram was coming to rescue Sita. It gives a whole vivid description. He was mounted on a celestial chariot drawn by 1,000 horses and coursing through the air. They wore white robes and white garlands and were ablaze with splendor. And then Ravana appeared in the dream. Ravana was robed in black with a red garland and sitting on a chariot drawn by asses. So she, wasn't too difficult to indicate what was portended by the dream. So Sita felt encouraged amidst a very, very difficult situation. Then when the Vanara army arrived, Sita understood, because she could hear the noise and the shouting of the Vanaras and so forth. Ravana came and made a trick. He approached one of his assistants, a magician, Vidyujiva, who knew how to create mystical things. So he made two mystical things. A head that looked just like Ram's head, and a bow that looks just like Ram's bow, because Sita was very familiar with what Ram's bow looked like. So he mystically created one of each, and accompanied Ravana to the Ashok garden, and showed Sita the head of Ram, and made up a whole story of at night while everyone was asleep, our army attacked, Ravana was slain, the whole Vanar army is slain, Hanuman is slain, and here's his bow and here's his head. And Sita just cracked. Terribly despondent. Her words they're so telling. It's not about her. She's concerned, how will Kaushalya feel? How will Dasarath feel? How will, no, she knew that Dasarath was gone. How are the people in Ayodhya going to take this news? Although she's in terrible distress, she's thinking of the distress of others. It's her exaltedness. She said, just slay me now and let me fall on the head of my good husband, and I can go with him wherever he has gone and be his eternal servant. So she's smashed and she's being tormented and surrounded by, we may have bad association, but it's nothing like what Sita had to endure. So the Vibhishan's wife, Sarama, came to pay her a visit and spoke so sweetly and so devotedly and so honestly. She said that what Ravana said was all a big lie. Oh, Ravana had to leave because there was a battle coming, and so he after showing this head, there was a mystical false head and mystical false bow, he left. Sarama came and pacified her, describing the glories of Ram, not only that the story was false, but the glories of Ram. Surely, she is a devotee, as is her husband a devotee. They're different than the rest of the clan. He's the personality of Godhead, and surely he'll come and rescue you. Just take courage. So even in these situations of great difficulty, there's messengers of good fortune. And so Sita and Ram were brought together once again. This Sadbhuj image is a form of Krishna, Ram, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that was shown in Puri to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. One personality exhibiting different pastimes with different items of paraphernalia in his hand, according to the pastime. So just two more. These are nice prayers, huh? One cannot establish a friendship with the Supreme Lord Ramachandra on the basis of material qualities such as one's birth in an aristocratic family, one's personal beauty, one's eloquence, one's sharp intelligence, or one's superior race or nation. None of these qualifications is actually a prerequisite for friendship with Lord Ramachandra. Otherwise, how is it possible that although we, uncivilized inhabitants of the forest, have not taken noble births, although we have no physical beauty, and although we cannot speak like gentlemen, Lord Ramachandra has nevertheless accepted us as friends. And not only friends, look at that embrace. Dearmost. Lord Ramachandra said that I can't repay you for all the service that you've done. I can just embrace you. And Hanuman doesn't want anything else. No repayment needed, just Lord Ramachandra's embrace. This is another theme in the Bhagavatam, another theme in the Bhagavatam being there's no material qualification or disqualification, no material qualification needed to enter into bhakti, no material disqualification that says, oh, you're not eligible, you have to stay outside the realm of bhakti. Although Hanuman is speaking of himself as not being able to speak like a gentleman, quite the opposite. He was so expert in his manner of speech. It was one of the benedictions that the Devas gave him. And he had become highly learned. It was one of the benedictions of the sun god, that very quickly he would learn scriptures and be able to speak it very eloquently. Though his birth wasn't high, but his qualification was. But his qualification was a devotional qualification, not an academic one or a linguistic one. How is it possible that although we uncivilized inhabitants of the forest have not taken noble births, although we have no physical beauty, and although we cannot speak like gentlemen, Lord Ramachandra has nevertheless accepted us as friends. He accepted as devotees living entities from all species. There's a nice painting indicating how Ram is feeling, seeing the ornaments of Sita, which he recognized because when she was passing over Rishamukh mountain, she threw down a cloth and the Vanaras found Sita's ornaments. Just seeing the ornaments of Sita, he is feeling so pained in his heart that, just so we know, that's Sugriva because he's got a crown. Looks like Jambavar, but he doesn't show up till later. And this is the fire where they took their vows of friendship in a formal manner, so they would assist one another in their purposes. And Hanuman, in his valiant effort of finding Sita, then teaching the residents of Lanka a lesson. Ram will surely come and destroy your entire population. And I'm just one, and there's thousands and thousands of us that have this inconceivable power. You all are finished. Here he is seated outside of Lanka, seeing the blazing scene before he went back to give the good news. Sita is found. This is Vibhishan. We saw a painting of his wife. This is Vibhishan after his multiple efforts to try to persuade Ravana to act according to theistic conduct and give Sita back to Ram, and immediately the problem is over. It's the right thing to do, plus it'll solve your problem. Ravana just became so angry, said, "You're an enemy, and if you weren't my brother, I would kill you." So Vibhishan left, took 4 ministers, a very famous and very important scene. This is a scene of surrender, and at the place where there's multiple places of surrender, different personalities. Long story, won't go into the details. Ram, this famous statement by Ram was made in this connection. Prabhupada would quote it a lot, and only after reading Ramayana did I understand where Ram said it. But it's in relation to Vibhishan. He said, "Please note my words very carefully. Anyone who even once, with sincerity, with his heart, takes shelter of me, from that day forward, I will always protect him from all dangers, and he'll be eternally my devotee." There's another scene where Vibhishan is being met by the Vanar army. Only Hanuman, out of all the Vanaras, only Hanuman understood correctly what Ram would do. the building of the bridge to Lanka, writing of the name of Ram. Of course, different versions of Ramayana say differently, but because of the name of Ram being written on each of the rocks they floated, this special little message, the squirrel being honored by Ram as much as by Hanuman or anyone else, because according to his capacity, he was serving. Ram accepted service from anyone. And Guha, an Aborigine tribal person living in the forest, but he was so devoted to Ram, so devoted to Ram, very, very dear to Ram, and Ram was very dear to him. Ramachandra accepted service from anyone. Shabari, the ascetic, an interesting description of Shabari's life. Shabari's father was a forest dweller, and their occupation, was killing animals. So when Shabari, this is one of the Ramayana texts, when Shabari became of marriageable age, there was an idea that she should get married. And in order to have the marriage, big celebration, they gathered up all kinds of killed animals to have a big feast. And when Shabari saw this, she left. Didn't come back. Didn't get married. She just went searching for a pure soul to take association of, and eventually found the sage Rishishinga, Atanga, and took shelter in his ashram. He allowed her to stay, and sage Matanga was going to depart this world. She requested, can I enter into the same funeral pyre? He said, no, you stay here and just serve Ram, he'll be coming after some time. So she just, every day, it was a sadhana. She didn't know if today is going to be the day, so she had a broom, and the paths leading into the hermitage she swept. It's like sadhana. And she gathered some fruits just in case today is the day that Ravana is going to come. Some roots and some berries, and was prepared every day for years, just like deity worship. And then finally, Lord Ram came, and she had the opportunity to serve him personally. And after serving him personally, she then left this world, explaining to Lord Ram, again, of course, there's different versions of Ramayana, but where to find Sugriva, because he was searching for Sugriva, because previously had been indicated. So she said where she could find him. Shabari. Ram accepted service from anyone, everyone. This is another nice painting showing the details. The vow of their friendship, the first meeting between Hanuman and Ram. We saw some of those paintings yesterday. So here's the final prayer. Therefore, whether one is a demigod or a demon, a man or a creature other than man, such as a beast or bird, everyone should worship Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears on this earth just like a human being. There is no need of great austerities or penances to worship the Lord, for he accepts even a small service offered by his devotee. Thus, he is satisfied. And as soon as he is satisfied, the devotee is successful. Indeed, Lord Ramachandra brought all the devotees of Ayodhya back home, back to Godhead, except for one, Hanuman. So Hanuman could be behind and sing the glories of Lord Ramachandra. This is a painting of the Pushpaka Vimana, bringing everyone back to Ayodhya at night on Diwali evening. and Lord Ramachandra descending from the Pushpaka Vimana, and the queens rising as if their life had been restored to them, seeing Ram, Sita and Lakshman, and so many Vanaras accompanying them. Hanuman assuming a gigantic form there in the city of Ayodhya. And finally the coronation of Ram. So this is just in anticipation of Ram Navami. More to come. We'll see you on Sunday. Shri Ramachandra ki jai. So any comments or thoughts or questions? Two boys, I compliment you, you did pretty well. A little jumpy, but your mom took care of that. Anything?
Maharaja, I heard Hanuman went to Vrindavan on the way he saw Govardhan and he was trying to lift Govardhan to bring it to ocean for the bridge. Is that true? I heard something like that.
There's Braja lore that has no verification from scripture that I know of. But it's Braja lore. Maybe. You have something?
Actually, we say that Hanuman remained back here.
Yeah.
And when we read here from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, when Gopakumar goes to Ayodhya, the spiritual world, he meets Hanuman in Ayodhya over there.
Does he meet him in Ayodhya in the spiritual world or elsewhere?
Ayodhya is what I remember.
Okay. So this is part 2. Gopakumar goes. Because in part 1, Narada goes to different devotees.
Yeah.
So this is part 2. Gopakumar goes to Ayodhya in the spiritual world and Hanuman is there. The Bhagavatam version is very clear that Hanuman remains. I guess there's different explanations for that. Hanuman can expand himself.
I have a question regarding offering prayers. We read often how pure devotees offer such exalted prayers.
Yes.
So sometimes how a neophyte devotee to approach the Lord to offer prayers, because prayers are obviously very important in approaching the Lord. So.
Something that I learned in the first week of living in a temple was learn to offer standard prayers. Spontaneous personal prayers are nice. But our condition is currently mixed or not pure yet. So learn how to offer appropriate prayers by exalted personalities. And that gives us training and purification how to approach the Lord through prayer. Then in the course of time, your own personal prayers in addition. But once that habit is there, once that one has learned to appreciate the prayers of exalted devotees, it brings elevation and purification of consciousness, and it helps us with our own, from our own hearts, our own calling through prayer. Yes.
Maharaja, in the last verse, Hanuman says that all creatures, not just human beings, should offer service, should worship Lord Ramachandra.
Therefore, whether one is a demigod or a demon, a man or a creature other than a man, everyone should worship Lord Ramachandra. Now, you want to know how are they supposed to worship Lord Ramachandra from some other species?
I'm thinking with human form of life itself is so difficult to worship Lord.
Well, do it right, because it'll save you some problems if you don't do it right. It's academic how difficult it would be and how would it be possible. But, this is another yuga, and squirrels and bears and monkeys and vultures, they're in a relationship with Lord Ramachandra. So that's how I take it. And exactly how are we to understand that, I can't explain, other than it's another yuga and this very elevated persons appearing to assist Rama in his pastimes and exhibiting human-like qualities, although their form is not human. You usually have a question. You have a question? No? Behind you, yeah.
My question is Jambavan. He was living from so many, from
Yes.
Yuga cycles.
Yes.
Is there any special, was boon given to him? Was there any other differences? How come he was one like great?
He's a Chiranjiva, he's a great soul. And he saw the Supreme Lord and became inspired by the Supreme Lord. He saw the battle between Vishnu and what the Puranas describe. He was shouting and jumping and cheering, yay, victory over.
So because of that darshan he had that Chiranjiva, like Hanuman had that Chiranjiva blessing from Lord Sun.
He had which?
Hanuman got the blessings from the demigods to be Chiranjiva.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to your question. If I was a pranic encyclopedia, I would probably know the answer to many questions. Yes.
Maharaj, Sabari's devotion is very inspiring.
Very special. Very special.
I would like to hear from you, how can we cultivate such mood in our devotional practices, specifically the patience part, especially when I have so much of fruity mentality.
Well, we have it by practice. You do some worship in your home. You make offerings. When you cook, you make offerings. So it's a take that up, inspired by Shabari, as this is an offering to the Supreme Lord, including, that one of the paintings, and she's gathering the berries, and she's contemplating what's going to be good appropriate to offer to Lord Ramachandra. That's for meditation. So when you go to the market and you do some shopping, meditate like that. Not just for your family. It's for Krishna or your deity. And if you cultivate that type of meditation, then when you're cutting, when you're stirring, when you're offering, and then your family takes, it's a festival. And then you do it every day. Instead of just a duty, it's an act of devotion, and you cultivate. And so we're not accustomed to being in devotion. We're accustomed to either doing duty or something that pleases me, something like that. So you cultivate. And if you're particularly inspired, find those sections that are describing her. There are some Ramayana versions that describe more about her background, her upbringing, her life at this sage Matanga's ashram. And it's just very simple. Her heart was very simple. It's not so. Our hearts are complicated. A lot going on. We're distracted a lot. So something that makes the mind peaceful and focused is, let me do this for Krishna, and you do that for Krishna nicely, and then it just impacts everything in your life. How you interact with your children, how you interact with your friends, how you conduct yourself in work. It's just one thing builds to the next thing. She wasn't a scholarly lady. We don't have that indication in any case, but she certainly understood truths of transcendence just through natural devotion. She was inclined. She left a dark life, and by some mercy, Sage Matanga accepted her to be in his association, and that simple life. She learned that way. So there's just elements that fit. A very simple lady. Very dear to Lord Rama. So how to cultivate this on a day-to-day basis. Anything else? Okay. So 9 o'clock. You have school tomorrow? Okay. So we'll let you take rest on time. We're going to end. There are more, for some reason, there's more devotees here this evening than yesterday. So I'll just share something with you that I shared with the people yesterday.